This is Jim. Welcome to the second day of my writing challenge. This is the video to talk a little bit about more Scrivener functionality and also to tell you about how the day went as far as writing in my sprints. I thought I'd show you where I am with my Scrivener file. As you can see, this looks a little bit different if you've been following along from the longer video yesterday. I've done some work on the outline and the project file and added quite a bit, moved some stuff around, pretty much using all the same functionality that I showed you in the previous video in terms of creating folders and files and moving stuff around. I've organized it a little bit, as you can see. Added a lot of documents. The document I had been cutting and pasting from, I went ahead and finished all that, so I wasn't going to bore you with doing a lot of cutting and pasting. So I've done all that, and you can see here that I have a section for draft novels, and I've got folders for all 3 books that I'll be working on over the next 3 months, and in each of these folders is a series of chapter files. So I'm estimating that the books will be 75 to 90,000 words long, and each chapter is a scene. Each scene's no more than 1,500 words. So I'm going to have a lot of chapters in each book, and I'm thinking about possibly breaking them up into parts or acts or something like that. Haven't decided that quite yet, but for now I'm just going to go with the straight list of chapters. 98, 998, 999. I know those are the last 2 chapters, and the reason I numbered them that way is if you look at the corkboard, actually that's the outline mode, but if you look at the corkboard, I've got all this stuff working on. I know what I want in those last 2 chapters. 998 is going to be the final scene. 999 is going to be a little kind of a gotcha teaser scene at the very end. And yeah, so that's the basics of book 1. And then if you look at book 2 and book 3, these are straight up duplicates that I made of book 1. And the reason those are in there mostly as placeholders, but also because book 2 and book 3 are going to follow the same basic structure. This structure is from adapted from Libby Hawker's Take Off Your Pants book, and the inciting event, the character realizes external goal, flaw, driving for goal. All these elements are just parts of stories in general. They're not really going to. I mean, the pieces themselves aren't going to change. What actually happens will change, but the basic structure probably won't change too much. Although there'll be a lot of tweaks and twists to make the book unique. But as far as a rough skeleton to start building on, they haven't changed, or they're not going to change from book 2 to book 3. This is all going to be filled in later. And actually, that raises a question on Kboards. On the thread that I started to discuss the challenge, Tommy D asked me a question. He says, "Do I have all 3 books plotted out, or am I plotting 2 and 3 as I go?" The answer to that is more the latter. I will be plotting these out as I go. What's happening is for book 2 and book 3, while I'm writing book 1, I am coming up with ideas and plot notes and stuff that I want to see happen in the later books related to the stuff that happens in book 1. And so I'm kind of building scenes, or I'm coming up with scene ideas as I'm working on book 1. I'm projecting ahead. Oh, this would be cool if this happened, and I can start planting those seeds in book 1 that won't grow to fruition until book 2, book 3, and even later into the series. I've got I've got various notes, series themes. I got future scene ideas right here. This is just a huge document of random pieces of stuff that I'd like to see in later books, and I'm going to hold on to that because after these first 3 books are out, available in stores, let's see, June, July, and August. So by July and August, I should have a pretty good idea if this series has any legs to it, and if there's any reason to continue on with the book 4. Now each one, the first three books will kind of come to a nice, not so much conclusion, but they'll be kind of standalone with series potential. So if after the third book comes out, if it's clear that this series just isn't going to have the sales to justify its continuance, then I'll put it on the back burner and I'll go on to a new series. Actually, I'll probably start a new series in June anyway, just to keep the muse active. But for now, I'm just planning these 3 books, even though I've got plenty of ideas to carry this into probably another 5 or 6 books beyond these 3. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself, because I don't want to be disappointed that I'm not going to write those books if it gets to that point. So anyway, this is just showing you some of the structuring power of Scrivener, which is why I love it so much. You can see this is the corkboard, as I showed you in the last video. Up here, these are the first 5 chapters that I've finished writing between yesterday and today. We'll get to the sprints in just a moment. But these first 5 chapters are pretty much done. They are in a really good draft shape. I can just show you real quick here. Oh, 5 needs a little bit of work, but 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all in really good shape. And 5, I just haven't gotten to yet, and it's pushing midnight now on Wednesday, and I'm pretty much running down here. So I think I'm going to save the cleanup for tomorrow. As you can see, this chapter 5 was written near the end of my last sprint, and I was at such a high pace that sometimes when I write really fast, I kind of throw in typos. And when I'm writing on the Neo, I wasn't writing in Scrivener, I was writing on the Neo. I write so fast that I just leave the typos in because I know I'm going to clean them up later. It takes a little bit of time to do it. I try not to do it, but most of the time, so chapter 3 was one of the first sprints I did today. You can see how clean it is. There's hardly any typos here at all. In fact, I don't see a single, well, maybe one or two. Let me fix that while I'm here. And so, I start really clean, and then I get sloppier as I go. This is pretty clean. And then this one's just, a red bloody mess that I'll have to fix up. It'll take, 10-15 minutes just to clean it up, which is, a minor amount of time. But anyway, so the first 5 chapters are done. And if you look at the outline mode that I've put together, there's the first 5 chapters. They're all from the point of view of the main character. Right now they're all first-person point of view, main character. I'm going to change the status labels, but for now I just plugged them in as first draft. No status means I haven't done anything yet with them. And then first draft means that the first draft is complete. Here's the word counts for each one. And you can see that the total progress bars aren't complete. That's because each text document has a word goal of 1,500. I don't like my scenes going much longer than 1,500 words. In fact, they usually range from 800 to 1,200. So you can see if I'm looking at the outline, spread here, you can see that each one was right within that range, just underneath, 1,000, 1,300, 800, 600, and so on and so forth. So nice quick read chapters. I like to read books that have short chapters because you turn pages fast and it gives me a sense of progress. And lately, over probably the last 16 to 18 months, I've been writing in that kind of mode where my scenes are short and quick, and make it kind of feel like a page turner. It's a pacing technique, and I like to have my readers feel like they are just blazing through a book and not getting bogged down in anything. I feel like if I'm writing and if I start getting bogged down in a chapter, that means something's going wrong with the pacing, and I try to pick it up and try to make it a little faster, trim down the words a little bit, try to beef it up, So that's where that is. So as far as functionality for Scrivener, I don't know that I have anything really new to show you right now, other than what I'm going to show you here with the sprints. Now, Scrivener has the capability of putting tables into a document file, much like Word. Unfortunately, unlike Word, this table formatting is pretty lousy. It's kind of bare bones, not really much to it. You can go up to Format, Table. You can add row above, row below, add columns, delete, sort the rows. The borders option is terrible. You can remove borders, but there's no way that I've been able to find to add borders, so that's why I have this kind of weird border thing where I've got these three cells kind of have a couple black lines and then everything else is grayed out. I haven't figured out how to fix that or how to change that, and my aesthetic brain kind of weeps at this, but you know, it is what it is. So you can see that yesterday I only managed to do one sprint from 11:30 to midnight, 30 minutes. Did about almost 1,100 words. That was the start to my challenge and my day. And then today I did 3 sprints, each one half an hour long. You can see the time that I put into it, and each one I got more words in. The more I got into it, I got 3,900 words in today, and I'm at just over 5,000 words on the challenge so far. So book 1 is well underway. 5,000 words in a day and in 2 hours basically. So that's what, 2,500 words an hour. I'll take that. No complaints whatsoever. I'm averaging over 1,000 words per sprint. I'm really happy with that progress. You can see how the day laid out. So as part of this challenge and part of these videos, I wanted to explain a little bit about how I write in terms of being a full-time writer in addition to having a day job and a family and a life and everything else. So just real briefly, I'll talk to you about how my day was. So I got up around 6 o'clock this morning along with my son and my wife, and got ready for work, got him ready for daycare. I was out the door and on the way to work a little after 7. I got to work a little bit before 8. On my lunch break, I spent about half an hour to 45 minutes doing some outlining on this, because as I mentioned yesterday in yesterday's video, I'm a little bit behind on the outlining. Usually I like to have a more complete outline in hand before I start writing, but I just was so excited to start this challenge that I kind of started without the full outline in hand. So that's why yesterday's sprint was just kind of into the dark a little bit, although I knew what I wanted to cover. But so today at lunch I took an opportunity to do some outlining, and then I left work at 4, got home just before 5 o'clock, and I knew I had half an hour before I needed to go pick up my son at daycare, so I excuse me, from 5 o'clock to 5:30, knocked out 30-minute sprint, got a little over 1,000 words in, picked him up, had dinner, did the evening routine, watched an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer with my wife, along with some dinner and popcorn, and then at 9:20, sat down for another sprint, knocked out another 1,300 words, took a short break, and then 10:15 was right back at it, and did another 30-minute sprint. So I got my 3 sprints in for the day. You can see that my writing speed increased as I got into the sprints, and part of that was, one of the other things I did from on the drive home when I left work at 4, that 40 minutes or so on the commute home, I had my digital voice recorder, and I was dictating notes in my head about how I wanted the first chunk of the book to be laid out in terms of what scenes were going to happen, what characters I was going to focus on, how I saw the story kind of starting off, and figured out what the main character was up to. So that's largely what drove me into these 3 sprints tonight, is I knew in my head and on that voice recorder what was going to happen in the first chunk of story. So that really helped me fire away on these 3 word sprints. I think if I didn't have an outline and I didn't have an idea of what I was doing, I probably wouldn't have done the sprints, because I don't like writing into the dark without any kind of signpost or guidepost along the way. It's just how I work. I work obviously much more efficiently when I have the some sort of idea of where I'm going, some sort of target to work toward. So 10:45 I finished that last sprint, and then just over the last hour and a half or so I've just been winding down, fed the cats, getting ready for bed, and thought I'd do this video. And I want to jump online and update my blog and my posts on Kboards, and I'll load this video up and call it a night. But for the moment, it's just now midnight, so it's a brand new day. So happy Thursday to you if you're watching this somewhere in and around my time zone. But yeah, so as far as functionality, you can see the table here. It's nowhere near as good as a Microsoft Word table. I can live with that. Let's see. Oh, hey, look at this. Nope, you can still only remove borders. You probably could shade these. You probably shade these different columns, but I don't really know how. And there's no math capability. This isn't a Excel spreadsheet or anything. So I'm doing all the math by hand. Nothing fancy. And I think that's about it. So not really a Scrivener tutorial kind of folder, but file or video, but just kind of updating on how the day went. And you can see I call this a glowing success. And thanks for following along. If you have any questions, please drop a comment here or on Kboards, or send me an email. And I hope you have a great night. Thanks so much.